Hello, I'm Tony, and this is View from the Evening. So, I watched Kurzgesagt's climate change video, and I didn't like it, but I couldn't put my finger on why. Something about it didn't sit quite right with me, but it's taken me a couple of days to think it all through. I thought it might be that the science was a bit off, that some of the things that were being claimed weren't correct. So I did what everyone on the internet says to do. I did my own research. I looked up all the sources that were cited in the video. I looked up all of the citations that were in the attached document. I did some research of my own. I got confirmation that the results that were in the cited papers did represent the scientific consensus. I do have a few issues with some of the statements that were made, but to be honest, I don't think they're actually that big a deal. I think a lot of the things that are in there reflects the scientific consensus at this time, and there's definitely good news. So, what was it? What was wrong? Well, it does feel somewhat muddled, but there was something else that was not quite right. After thinking about it for a few days, I don't entirely agree with the message that's being delivered here. It feels like the video's main purpose is to stop people feeling that we are doomed. Now, I didn't personally feel that way, but clearly that message has many people that needed to hear it, as shown by the comments section, where a lot of people are talking about how much they've been reassured, some of them how they've been motivated to make a change, but the general feeling that I got from reading through the comments was a sense of relief. Now, I'm very glad that the video helped some people gain this level of hope, but it still didn't quite sit right for me. Now, I know that videos promised coming up to explain how you can change things. Maybe that will convey the message that I feel probably needs to be heard. And if so, ignore this video. Fair play to them. Good job. We will see. But I still think maybe, just to make sure, I'm going to give my view, which of course is the view of just some bloke on the internet. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a climate scientist. I don't know all the details. I've just done research like any of you guys can, which I do encourage you to do, by the way. So this is just my opinion. Right, without further ado, let's talk about what I think could have been said in this video. Now, like I've said, I do have issues with some of the scientific basis for the statements that are made. To me, a lot of the optimism that's put forward in the video is just a little misplaced. It's not quite backed up by the evidence that was cited to the extent that it comes across in the video. I'm not against being optimistic. I'm actually a naturally optimistic person, however it might seem from any videos you've seen of mine. But I do think it's important for people to have a proper and full understanding of any given situation. And I think that's more important than just reassuring them. I know it's not necessarily what people want to hear. People want to hear good things, but I think it's what people need to hear. I think people really need to be aware of a situation that they're in. There is an issue with having unrealistic optimism, and that's if evidence is presented to you that disproves the basis for that optimism, it all comes crashing down. That's when you end up in a pit of hopelessness and despair. In the video, a lot of focus is placed on the dropping cost of renewable energy sources and batteries, as is the increase in use of renewable energy. But does it matter that even with this huge increase, renewable energy only contributes 20% of the global power production? I think it does matter. I would argue that people should be aware that there is still quite a long way to go in the use of renewables, and don't just explain it with what seems to be a throwaway line about how it's not nearly enough. Actually tell them how much it's lacking. This doesn't make people not optimistic. The fact that renewable energy sources actually now can be seen as a realistic alternative to fossil fuels, because 20% is significant, that's still a good message. That's still a cause for optimism. Personally, I'd have liked to have seen this section to be more of a here's the amount of work that needs to be done, but there is an achievable goal, so let's get working on it. Now, the knowledge of the current situation and how much work needs to be done can help people make decisions that could mitigate climate change in the future. They can't do that if they don't know. I just feel that if people know that there's still lots of work to be done, they may make decisions to take that work on. They may make career decisions to put themselves in a position where they are going to be able to make those changes. Unfortunately, I don't think Kurzgesagt's video gave people that information. Now on to another gripe. There are some statements made that I just don't know where they came from at all. For example, at one point it stated, "We are at the point where not decarbonising is a bad business decision." I certainly hope this is true, but I would have liked to have seen actual evidence to back that up, and that is not provided. Now this is a key example of my issue with this video. It feels like there's a "don't worry" message thrown in, because that's what the creators really wanted to convey. Points are made to be optimistic and to put a "don't worry" type of message across, even when there's no evidence to back it up. And I don't think climate change is a topic where you can just throw a "hey, we got this" and just make people feel better, because we don't got this unless everyone realises that we currently don't got it, and then everyone goes and gets it. Personally, I would have liked to have seen this video say, "We can get this, go get it," to actually motivate people to do the stuff that needs to be done, like a call to action. Maybe that's coming, maybe that's the next video, I don't know. I just would have liked to have seen it in this video. Another more minor complaint about the video is that the switching from like the doom and gloom to the imagine what we could do, and from "we have all these people working on technology to sort things out, don't worry" vibe, to "technology can't magically fix everything," to be whiplash inducing. I understand that it's a nuanced topic, but when you're dealing with nuance is not going one extreme to the other. Nuance sits in the middle. I don't know, maybe that was just me. And I did think, is it just me? I was thinking, am I less worried because I'm older and the effects of climate change aren't going to affect me because I won't be here? That was certainly something that I considered, but I do have nieces, both of which are under 10, and I do care about the lives they're going to live, and any children that they might have, their lives too. So I don't think it's that. Another thing I considered was the fact that I don't feel the same hopelessness that many people in the comments expressed. And there were quite a number of them that as I was just skimming through reading them, that really did feel hopeless and were really helped by this video. And so perhaps because I didn't need to hear that message, I don't have the same appreciation for the video that people that did need to hear the message felt. I don't think it's the main reason that I have a problem with this video, but perhaps it did contribute towards that. I think the main reason though is just how I am as a person. I'm someone that would rather know the situation I'm in, however bad it is, so that I can make informed decisions. I think that's why I have issues with this video. For me, it didn't inform as much as I would hope it would. As I said earlier, I think the main purpose of this video was to counter that hopeless feeling, which by itself is a noble goal. But the problem is, millions of people are going to watch it, and it could form their basis for the knowledge of climate change, and there's no guarantee they're going to see the follow-up video. And so they're left with what I believe is an overly optimistic and unrealistically optimistic set of knowledge about climate change. And I don't think that's what the video should have done. I think the video should have informed. Now, with all this moaning about what was actually said in their video, I clearly need to say what I would have liked to have heard, right? You can't just moan about how bad something is and not put forward an alternative of how it could have been better. You can't do that on the internet. Just moan. Who would watch that? So here we go. This is how I'm going to do it, because I haven't got cartoons, I don't have cool voiceover. All I've got is a story. My story. I'm currently suffering from chronic pain condition that basically keeps me confined to my house because I just can't walk anywhere. And I'm putting on weight. Weight that I would rather not be putting on. Now, because I can't stay on my feet for very long, exercising is difficult. but I'm doing what I can, and I'm also restricting my diet. Unfortunately, I'm not really losing weight, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying. For me, if the best I can do is just maintain the weight I'm at now, even though it's a good 25 pounds more than I want to be, then so be it. I don't know if my condition's going to get better, but I'm still going to be dieting and exercising with the expectation that I will get better. That at some point I'll be back on the treadmill, back out walking, back out being able to do things. And this is how I feel about climate change. Regardless of how things are going, we should still be doing everything we can to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. We should be exercising, and that means exercising our democratic votes if you live somewhere where you have them, so that we can hold our governments to account to make sure they have the right pledges in place to combat climate change and to make sure that they are keeping to those pledges. We should also be exercising our market power to actually make it true that not decarbonising is a bad business decision. That might mean only buying goods that are repairable, that are durable and will last that much longer, that have no built-in obsolescence. That might mean going without certain things that you would buy until companies realise that they need to take climate change into account when they are manufacturing. We might also need to consider the dieting aspect of it, i.e. reducing our consumption of resources at a personal level. That might mean not taking a new phone every 2 years. That might mean walking more instead of driving. It's going to mean looking at our lives and the things we consume and deciding what's really important, what do we really need, and thinking about doing away with some of the rest of those things that aren't necessary. This is probably going to be pretty tough, and it's not fair. You could ask, why should we do it? Why should we give stuff up? But that question is why we're in the position that we're in now. The only way things are going to change is if people stop asking that question and start asking, how do we make this better? It can be made better. There's no reason to believe that it can't, but it does depend on your action. That's the message that I would have loved to have seen from the Kurzgesagt video. That's the message that I want to give from this one. Don't lose hope, but act. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you soon.